This is the most powerful couple in politics. The wife Mun Ju is a United Nations ambassador, and the husband Jun-ik is running for president. Jun-ik carries with him the mission of keeping peace and the desire to unify North and South. However, that happiness does not last long, because the person at the pinnacle of power always has to face potential dangers. That day, Jun-ik and his wife prepared to go to church to attend a peace mass. Because this was a mass to pray for peace, Jun-ik did not want a security team to follow him. Jun-ik did not want to look like a scared person when coming to the house of God. But Jun-ik did not expect that this was the most wrong decision in his life, because there was a plan to assassinate him secretly taking place. At the church, there were many people who opposed Jun-ik. They continuously shouted slogans and held banners asking Jun-ik to resign because they did not want a peaceful unification of North and South. Seeing these things made Mun Ju feel worried about her husband. She entered the church and observed everything around. Above, San-ho was recording the prayer ceremony. While the ceremony was taking place, San-ho discovered a very suspicious person. That person put the Bible in the drawer and slowly walked forward. He questioned Jun-ik about why he opposed them, even though Jun-ik had previously said that the North and South would not be unified. After asking, he did not wait for an answer, but immediately pulled out a gun and shot Ike dead. Mun Ju panicked and ran towards her husband. The assassin intended to shoot another bullet at Jun-ik, but Mun Ju tried to protect her husband. At the same time, the security team ran in, but they all fell before the assassin. Then the assassin turned and pointed his gun at Mun Ju. When he was about to pull the trigger, San-ho suddenly appeared to stop him. News of Jun-ik's assassination quickly spread. Jun-ik was rushed to the hospital, but the situation was still unclear. Not long after, the doctor informed Jun-ik that Jun-ik had passed away. Mun Ju collapsed upon hearing the news. Jun-ik's family couldn't face this either. After Jun-ik's sudden death, the political world was still in chaos. The new Republican Party was looking for ways to deal with it and would schedule the primary election. However, the most chaotic place was Jun-ik's family. There were 3 widows in a house because their husbands had passed away one after another. Before Jun-ik's father passed away, his grandmother did not trust her daughter-in-law, Oh-son, so she gave all her assets to her eldest grandson, Jun-ik. Now, they are afraid that Mun Ju will inherit all of Jun-ik's assets. Here, Jun-sang announced to everyone that he would run for election in place of his brother. Jun-sang believed that the party's percentage would skyrocket after Jun-ik's incident. Jun-sang went to investigate and was sure that he would have the absolute support of the new Republican Party. Mrs. Oh-son immediately asked her son, who told him that. Jun-sang revealed that he was the chairman of the Mun Ju party. But Mrs. Oh-son did not think that Jun-sang was capable. She thought that Jun-sang was suitable to be a prosecutor, and if anyone had to run for election, it would be Mun Ju. She believed that if a widow ran for election, she would definitely be elected. At that moment, the family's legal representative arrived. He revealed that 2 weeks ago, Jun-ik hired a private lawyer to sort out the assets. The total amount of cash was over 4.4 billion won, all of which were left to Mun Ju. In addition, 5 real estates worth 24 billion won were also transferred to her. The lawyer also said that Jun-ik still had some assets overseas, but they had not been counted, so the lawyer could not give an exact figure. However, the lawyer thought that the remaining assets were not much. Grandma could not accept this, because these were assets of 3 generations of the Jang family, and now they were all in the hands of someone unrelated to the family. She compared Mun Ju to a homeless person, and Mun Ju was very lucky to be in this family. Mun Ju admitted that she did not know anything about this inheritance. Previously, Jun-ik had said that he wanted to sort out the assets before the election, so he gave his seal and ID card to the representative. Grandmother continued to scold Mun Ju because she had previously opposed marrying a lowly daughter-in-law like her. Moreover, Mun Ju had not yet given birth to a child for this family. Mun Ju replied that she was not homeless. She was the daughter her mother had sacrificed everything for and raised with all her heart. The reason she came to this house as a daughter-in-law without feeling looked down upon was because her mother had taught her that looking down upon her was only someone else's problem. As long as she lived properly, that was enough. Jun-ik had given Mun Ju all of his assets so that she would not be looked down upon in this house. Oh-son felt that it was unfair because she had also contributed to building that wealth. More importantly, she had devoted all her efforts to her deceased son Jun-ik. Her son's death was already too much for her to bear. Now she had to watch her daughter-in-law take everything away, which was hard for her as a mother to accept. Mun Ju also did not want to take back the Jong family's assets. She decided to donate everything to charity and leave Korea. Hearing this, everyone immediately objected. They wanted to take this matter to court and gather the best team of lawyers. Mrs. Oh Sun said that she was not doing this for money but for the honor of a mother. Jun Sang tried to follow Mun Ju to convince her. Jun Sang said that litigation would not benefit either side. Instead of Mun Ju donating to charity, Jun Sang suggested that she should donate to Jun Sang's campaign committee. If Jun Sang and she joined forces, they would have a great influence. However, Mun Ju ignored what Jun Sang said. Meanwhile, Sanho was looking at the necklace that Mun Ju had dropped at the church. At this time, Sanho received a phone call from the Van Kiri organization. They wanted Sanho to renew his contract to participate in a big mission. This mission involved protecting a widow in Korea named Mun Ju. However, Mun Ju was not the direct client, but someone else hired Sanho to help Mun Ju. Mun Ju did not even know that she was in danger. The anonymous client asked Sanho to protect Mun Ju, but to keep it a secret, meaning Sanho needed to make Mun Ju believe that hiring Sanho as a bodyguard was her own will. Sanho was not allowed to reveal anything about the client. They also wanted some information about Mun Ju, such as who Mun Ju met or what she talked about. Sanho did not want to accept right away because he wanted to learn more about Mun Ju. During the police investigation, they discovered that the assassin Jun-ik was named Jong Jun. Jong Jun belonged to the Army's Special Operations Command. When they arrived at Jong Jun's house, the police found many photos and documents related to Congressman Jun-ik. It seemed that everything was going against Jong Jun's thinking, so he was angry and acted like that. In the past few days, Sanho has been following Mun Ju to learn more about her. Sanho felt that Jun-ik's death was a huge shock to Mun Ju, but Mun Ju was very good at hiding her emotions. Mun Ju still maintained her daily jogging habit. Mun Ju was always very busy and had no interest in eating. In addition, Mun Ju was somewhat careless. She did not know that she was in danger. Mun Ju did not know that there was always a group of people following her from behind. After Sanho investigated everything about Mun Ju, he refused the mission given by the Van Kiri organization because he was not interested. That night, Mun Ju went to the church to pray and met the priest. There, Mun Ju wanted to meet Sanho because she had many things to ask him. Mun Ju asked the priest to pass the message to Sanho. Sanho stood upstairs and heard everything. The next day, when Mun Ju continued to jog, she saw Sanho waiting for her in front. Sanho returned the necklace she had dropped to Mun Ju. At the same time, a group of people were following the two. Sanho discovered this, so he told Mun Ju not to turn around and just act normal. Then the two left. The followers saw this and continued to follow. Sanho told Mun Ju to go ahead so he could deal with these people. At this time, another group arrived, so Sanho led Mun Ju away. The two climbed the mountain in front of them, while the trackers were still searching at the foot of the mountain. Mun Ju wondered and asked Sanho if he knew this mountain. Sanho replied that from the sewers, tunnels, underground, or abandoned buildings in Seoul, things that were not on the map, people like him knew everything. Sanho also knew where the escape route was and where the hiding place was. People like Sanho were people without a homeland. Here, Mun Ju asked Sanho about the last words the assassin said. At that time, the assassin said that he had killed a spy. Sanho did not think the assassin was crazy when he said those words. At the same time, Sanho was sure that there was someone behind the scenes who wanted to kill Jun-ik. At this time, it was raining, so the two went to a tent to take shelter. Sanho showed Mun Ju the video recorded at the church. In the video, Jong Jun put a Bible in the drawer. Sanho checked the Bible and found a blank business card inside. There was a mysterious phone number underneath. Sanho tried calling the number, but was told it didn't exist. After Sanho left, a group of people came to check the phone booth. Sanho felt that the person behind the business card was someone powerful enough to erase a phone number or use any number at will. When Mun Ju heard this, he immediately thought of President Gyung Sin, who had once asked Mun Ju to work with her. She tried to act like she trusted Mun Ju, but the reality was completely different. Sanho also checked the security cameras around the church. Before attacking Jun-ik, Jong Jun went to meet Jun Sang. Jun Sang was also present at the foot of the mountain. Going back 2 years, Sanho was still in the army and fighting in Iraq. Sanho happened to hear Mun Ju's speech when she was working at the United Nations. Mun Ju hoped that one day North and South would be unified, and the families and relatives of millions of people like Mun Ju were living on the land of Korea. They were hundreds of kilometers apart, but Mun Ju felt that they were all brothers and sisters. Mun Ju believed that the North Korean people also deserved to have a life like us. Mun Ju's speech moved Sanho because his family family was also divided between north and south. At this time, Mun Ju sought out her husband's bodyguard Chang Hui. Mun Ju wanted to know when Junek had increased security because he was clearly on guard for something. Chang Hui revealed that about 1 or 2 months ago, Junek suddenly received a lot of personal phone calls, and security meetings with unknown attendees were also held more frequently. Especially before the ambassador's arrival, Junek seemed very nervous. Jun Ik requested double the security force and suddenly requested to take a detour, even though the distance was very short. When Chang Hui asked why, Junek said that there were squirrels following him. Hearing the word squirrel, Mun Ju immediately thought of her brother-in-law because Junsang was nicknamed the Violent Squirrel. Mun Ju received a phone call from her assistant Mi Ji. Mi Ji was at the assassin's house, and Mi Ji saw that they seemed to be preparing to go somewhere far away, but they looked very tense, as if someone wanted to take them away to hide something. Mi Ji decided to follow them, even though she knew that this was very dangerous. Hearing that, Mun Ju advised Mi Ji to absolutely not get out of the car until she arrived. On this side, the priest advised San Ho to leave because he felt that the church was about to fall into chaos. Before that, Congressman Jun Ik left a will to the priest. The priest kept praying to God to find the right direction for this situation. It was a promise between the priest, Congressman Jun Ik, and God. Before sending San Ho away, the priest said a meaningful sentence that they could still meet again. Then, he gave San Ho a bottle of wine. He also reminded that San Ho must come back to drink that bottle of wine. San Ho then went to the pier to prepare to leave. At this time, San Ho saw another business card in the Bible, so he decided to go back. On the other side, Mi Ji was already at the airport to follow the assassin's family. At that moment, a group of people came to take Mi Ji away. When Mun Ju ran to the airport, she could not contact Mi Ji. At this time, Mun Ju received a phone call from her brother-in-law. He was the one who took Mi Ji. Immediately, Mun Ju went to meet Junsang. There, Junsang asks Mun Ju what she is doing. Mun Ju says that she just wants to know why her husband died. Junsang replies that didn't the police inform Mun Ju? Jun Ik died at the hands of a madman who opposed unification. Mun Ju wonders why Junsang is following Junek. Junsang questions Mun Ju about why she thinks he is the one who killed Junek. Junsang, a national security prosecutor, is following his brother because Junek is a spy. Junsang is doing everything to cover up for his brother. What if the truth that the presidential candidate is a spy is exposed? What if the force that killed Jun Ik is North Korea? War will break out if it is found out that the United States is involved. There is an American named San Ho. He is a top mercenary of the Van Kerry military company in the US. As long as they have money, they will kill anyone, and they protect even the trash. Why is that person at the scene? Is it just a coincidence? The reason Junsang must become president is for his family and for the country. For the peace of the world, Junsang will cover everything up. Mun Ju does not believe that her husband is a spy because she knows him very well. Mun Ju thinks that Junsang is trying to create false evidence to accuse Jun Ik. Junsang does not beat around the bush anymore. He asks Mun Ju to pack up everything and go abroad within the next 24 hours. Jinsang uses Mi Ji to threaten Mun Ju. Jinsang immediately connects Mun Ju to the phone so she can talk to Mi Ji. Mi Ji keeps saying that she is okay. She also advises Mun Ju not to worry about her. Mi Ji also advises Mun Ju not to accept any requests from Junsang. However, Mun Ju still promised to bring Mi Ji back to her family safely within 24 hours. After that, Mun Ju warned Junsang that if anything happened to Mi Ji, Mun Ju would not leave Junsang alone. Then, Mun Ju went to the church and called the priest, but no one answered. The door was unlocked, so Mun Ju slowly walked in. At this time, Mun Ju saw the priest lying on the table. Then, someone hid inside and covered Mun Ju's mouth, which turned out to be San Ho. When San Ho arrived, the priest had already passed away. San Ho advised Mun Ju to leave before they arrived, because it seemed like they were looking for something here. As soon as San Ho finished speaking, a thug appeared. San Ho slowly closed the door and immediately attacked the man. When Sanho asked him why he killed the priest, he said that whales were in the ocean. At that moment, someone was knocking on the door outside. When Sanho focused on the knocking, the man quickly jumped out the window to escape. Immediately, Sanho opened the secret door in the priest's closet and took Mun Ju with him. The director personally went to see Mrs. Oh-son. He was very grateful for the help that Oh-son's family had given to his second son in the past. Mrs. Oh-son had arranged for doctors and paid for the entire surgery. That's why he decided to reveal an important piece of information to Miss Oh-son. He said he had information from an intelligence officer of the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State named Miller. Miller is wanted by the FBI for leaking state secrets and violating the Espionage Act. The person Miller corresponded with was Congressman Jun-ik. The director had been following Jun-ik Oh-seon since before Jun-ik's death because he suspected that Jun-ik was a spy working with North Korea. Oh-seon couldn't believe it. The director advised Oh-seon to be careful because the house was being bugged. When she asked if it was President Jung-sin, he refused to answer. He then gave Oh-seon Sanho's file. He also advised her to be wary of Sanho because the organization Sanho worked with was all about money. It was impossible to know who Sanho received money from and what those people were planning. Meanwhile, Sanho reveals to Mun Ju that this is a tunnel from the Japanese occupation period and that there is an underground network that connects both North and South Korea. Only a few people know about this, including Sanho and the priest. Mun Ju heard that Sanho is a mercenary for the private military company Van Kiri. Sanho says that their contracts are renewed every year or two. Sanho's contract ended a year ago and he did not renew it. Mun Ju asks if it was a coincidence that Sanho was near the scene where Jun-ik and the priest died. Sanho does not answer that question. Sanho shows Mun Ju another business card found in the Bible. Sanho believes that the priest was murdered by poison, as there was a needle mark on the priest's hand. This method is impossible for ordinary people. The priest plans to pass on Jun-ik's last wishes at the mass tomorrow. That was exactly what Jun-ik wanted to announce on the day of his assassination. Sanho found the bottle of wine that the priest had promised to give him. Sanho's name was clearly written on the bottle. When Sanho opened the bottle, there was something inside, as he had guessed. It contained a letter from Miller to Jun-ik, along with a satellite photo of a North Korean nuclear submarine. It was a ship weighing 10,000 tons and 140 meters long. It was capable of carrying 128 nuclear warheads. The U.S. side was really worried about this issue. The Department of Defense called to criticize the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State, Miller, because he had previously revealed that the ship built by North Korea only weighed 3,000 tons. After knowing about this incident, the U.S. president held an emergency meeting. The U.S. military was planning to attack 40 of North Korea's nuclear facilities. At that time, Miller was very afraid that war would break out. Miller persuaded the Minister of Defense to postpone the attack plan, as it could put millions of lives in danger. However, Miller's words were meaningless. Miller had no choice but to send a letter to Jun-ik for help. Everything from Miller's phone to his electronic devices was monitored and tapped. Mun Ju remembered that Miller had studied for a doctorate with her husband. She was sure that Jun-ik intended to publish this letter that day to prevent war. The next day, Sanho and Mun Ju escaped from the tunnel through a path in the forest. Here, Mun Ju no longer needed Sanho's help. The two decided to go their separate ways. Before leaving, Sanho gave Mun Ju a necklace, calling it the patron saint of warriors. After that, Mun Ju met with President Jung-sin. Mun Ju showed her the letter in the hope of preventing war. President Jung-sin blamed Jun-ik for not burning the letter after reading it. Otherwise, he would not have suffered such a tragic end. President Jung-sin immediately set fire to the letter in front of Mun Ju and advised her to retreat so she could handle it herself. President Jung-sin said that war is a game for madmen, not diplomacy. Even if we stand in the middle and scream for a peaceful solution, no one will listen. We have to choose a side and find a way to change. And of course, President Jung-sin will side with America. President Jung-sin knows very well that the one who attacked Jun-ik is America and no one else. President Jung-sin will take advantage of that loophole to get into America's car. After that, President Jung-sin advised Mun Ju to leave Korea as soon as possible. Sanho is on a ship to China. From there, Sanho can go to North Korea to reunite with his family. In China, Sanho gives the people who help people escape some money and they will prepare the ship and show him the way. However, when Sanho gets to the port, someone informs him that he cannot go there because in the past few days, the Storm Legion soldiers have been everywhere. Sanho immediately turns to ask the people who show him the way, but they tell him to go. It's okay. As soon as they finish talking, gunshots ring out and a ship is being shot at. With no other choice, Sanho calls the Van Kiri organization. Sanho accepts the job of protecting Mun Ju at the request of a secret client. On this side, Mun Ju goes to Oh-son. Here, Mun Ju asks her why her mother is so against Mun Ju and Junik's marriage. She replied that she wanted to find a happy and warm woman for her son, while Mun Ju was a dark and cold child. Mun Ju lived long enough to realize that this house, on the Bath surface, seemed to be run by her father-in-law. However, the one who decided everything was Mrs. Oh-son. She revealed that before accepting the marriage, she had thoroughly researched Mun Ju. Mun Ju's mother raised her daughter alone in the United States, working at a nail salon, cleaning hospitals, and working as a cashier at a supermarket. Before Mun Ju's mother passed away, Junik stayed home to take care of Mun Ju's mother. After Mun Ju became famous for her speech at a Model United Nations conference in college, Mrs. Oh-son happened to see an interview of Mun Ju. In it, a young man who hung the Korean flag in his room and studied hard appeared. Truly a very rare patriotic young man. Oh-son invested in Junek's political career, but she felt that her son was lacking something. When she realized that it was patriotism, she decided to accept Mun Ju as her daughter-in-law to make up for it. Based on what Oh-son said, Mun Ju thought that she should run for office instead of Jun-san. Mun Ju knew very well that Oh-son was the one who planned everything to make Junek a potential candidate. If Oh-son supported Mun Ju's candidacy now, Oh-son would have the opportunity to start over from that position. Mun Ju promised that if she won, she would leave all of Junek's assets to Oh-son. Oh-son knew very well that Mun Ju's dream was to become president. When Mun Ju was in school, Mun Ju had written her dream in her report card. Oh-son accepted the deal that Mun Ju offered. The first step that Mun Ju wants Oh-son to do is to call Jun-san to release Mi-ji immediately. At the same time, Mun Ju asks Jun-sang to withdraw from the election. He must leave Korea within the next 24 hours. Mun Ju goes to her teacher Do-jin, and she can't hold back her tears. Do-jin also knows how much Mun Ju has been holding back her emotions after Junek's death. Here, Mun Ju reveals to Mr. Do-jin that she must find out the reason for Junek's death. If there is something that Junek has bet his life on, she will complete it for him. Mun Ju admits that while Junek was alive, she didn't love him enough. Even though she knew he was an extremely wonderful husband, Mr. Do-jin reveals that Junek came to see him a month ago. Ike showed him a letter from a friend in America and asked him to join the campaign committee in charge of unification policy. However, joining the Republican Party made Do-jin very worried. Do-jin was also planning to move to Argentina because he was fed up with this country, where people loved hatred more than peace, loved factions, and liked division. Hearing this, Mun Ju decided to announce that she would run for president. Although Mun Ju had studied to the doctoral level, everything she had was thanks to Do-jin's teachings. Therefore, Mun Ju wanted him to stay to support her on this journey. Mun Ju also expressed her desire to better understand the situation in North Korea, as well as the actions they would take, because his understanding and predictions were always accurate. Do-jin believed that war was probably inevitable. North Korea possessed nuclear weapons, and the US could not intervene in this situation. Mun Ju will also be just another victim crushed under the wheels of history. However, Mun Ju is confident that she can change everything. The photo capturing the moment Mun Ju bravely protected her husband from the assassin's gun is causing a storm in the media. Domestic and foreign press continuously reported on Mun Ju, all discussing the possibility of Mun Ju inheriting her husband's political legacy. Mun Ju met with her brother-in-law Jun-san with the aim of forcing him to withdraw from the election. Mun Ju showed him a video in which Jun-sang assaulted his wife. Mun Ju revealed that she had talked to her sister-in-law and she agreed to testify. When Jun-sang watched the video, he also realized that his mother was on Mun Ju's side. Although Jun-sang was very angry, he could not do anything. Mun Ju gave Jun-sang a plane ticket to Germany. Jun-sang said resentfully that she should also be careful, because when he returned, he would not return empty-handed. On this side, Mrs. Oh-son also met with the chairman of the new Republican Party to force him to remove Jun-sang and support Mun Ju. Oh-son revealed to him that before her husband passed away, he left her a cabinet with many drawers, one of which had the name of Chairman Man Ji written on it. She showed Mr. Man Ji pictures of his illegitimate daughter. She said that if this was made public, his political career would definitely end, and so he was forced to help Mun Ju run for election. Mrs. Oh-son continuously met with other politicians with the hope of turning Mun Ju into a phenomenon, even a legend of the new Republican Party. 6 days before the announcement of her candidacy, Mun Ju unexpectedly rose to first and second place in the polls. Chang Hui decrypted Jun X's computer and phone. Chang Hui found a history of multiple accesses to a secure email email site, an encrypted email service with servers in Switzerland. Even the FBI could not access that information. At that moment, Oh Son arrived because she could not call Mun Ju. Mun Ju explained that she had put her phone away because there were too many incoming calls. Oh Son had prepared everything for Mun Ju, and the next step was for Mun Ju to appear and perform in public. This Sunday, Mun Ju will be announced as a candidate in the square. Oh Son wants Mun Ju to make everyone cry for her. She gives Mun Ju the speech she is supposed to give at the event and asks her to mark the places where she should cry. Mun Ju needs to practice well before this Sunday. That evening, Mr. Mongi calls Mrs. Oh Son. Mongi hears that many Americans have entered the country to wait for the election announcement, and he is worried that Mun Ju will be in danger that day. Elsewhere, San-ho goes to the Vankiri organization to sign the contract. Ethan has someone bring out the equipment and weapons that San-ho needs, and Ethan reveals that intelligence agent Billy Gray arrived in Seoul yesterday. Ethan hears that Billy Gray intends to show something in front of the cameras. Soon after, San-ho goes to the square where the election candidates are announced, wanting to find a suitable place to set up a sniper rifle. Meanwhile, Mun Ju receives a call from the president. She doesn't care whether Mun Ju becomes president in the upcoming election or not, but she is still in office and has her own plans. Mrs. Jong-sin warned Mun Ju that if Mun Ju tried to get in her way, she would eliminate Mun Ju immediately. Mun Ju admitted that she had no intention of confrontation, but Mun Ju believed that Mrs. Jong-sin would not be able to prevent the war. Mrs. Jong-sin revealed that the US did not support Mun Ju to become president. She advised Mun Ju to be careful because she said that this came from her concern for Mun Ju. That Sunday also arrived. The first step that Mun Ju took, according to Mrs. Oh Son's script, was to go to the memorial site of her husband. What Mun Ju showed to everyone was broadcast live on TV channels. Mun Ju received a lot of support from the people. Thousands of people surrounded and shouted her name. At the square, security was also being tightened under the direction of Chang Hui. San-ho was also preparing everything in case Mun Ju was assassinated. At this time, San-ho received a message from the organization informing him that they had identified the Korean man accompanying Billy Gray. The man's name was Dustin, an explosives expert who graduated from Contact. San-ho immediately went to meet Chang Hui to discuss this urgent matter. Chang Hui also quickly recognized San-ho as the boy at the church. San-ho asked Chang Hui to stop Mun Ju from getting on the train. Immediately after San-ho was connected to Mun Ju, he advised her to get off the train, but it was too late. When the seat repairman had just left, Mun Ju sat on the chair on which he had placed the bomb. San-ho advised Mun Ju not to get up from the chair. Chang Hui realized that something serious had happened, so he asked to turn off the live broadcast. According to San-ho's experience, it could be a pressure bomb. If it was a timed bomb, it would explode at a predetermined time. After knowing that the next station was in Asan, San-ho quickly went there. Mun Ju told his assistant Mi-ji to advise all the passengers in the car to move to other cars. San-ho hurried on the road because time was more precious than gold. When the train stopped at the station, San-ho was just in time. San-ho used a knife to cut open the seat, and sure enough, there was a bomb underneath. This bomb was also connected to another bomb in the row of seats in front. The police also quickly arrived. When San-ho asked, he knew that the bomb disposal team would take another 10 minutes to arrive. San-ho had no other choice. He had to handle it himself when time was running out. San-ho slipped a knife inside and cut the wire connecting the two bombs. The next step was for San-ho to switch seats with Mun Ju. San-ho's handling steps were extremely gentle, preventing the bomb under the seat from detonating. After that, San-ho reassured Mun Ju that he would be out of here soon. When Mun Ju had safely left the ship, San-ho had to wait for the right time for the bomb to explode. With a camera connected to a smart watch, everyone standing below had to hold their breath to observe San-ho. When the bomb under the seat was about to expire, San-ho jumped up and grabbed the luggage rack. Then both bombs seemed to explode at the same time. Just a moment later, Mun Ju breathed a sigh of relief when she saw San-ho's silhouette through the window. San-ho's body was covered in injuries. After this incident, the police advised Mun Ju to cancel the remaining schedule. However, Mun Ju still wanted it to continue because everyone had prepared very carefully for this day. When the sky turned dark, Mun Ju was already at the square. Mun Ju confidently stepped forward in front of thousands of supporters. While San-ho continued his duty to protect her, Mun Ju unexpectedly did not read the speech that Mrs. Oh Son had given. Instead, Mun Ju told about her journey before standing here. From far away in America, Mun Ju had pasted the Korean flag in front of her desk. Mun Ju had experienced the pain of loss when her husband died unjustly, a man who carried within him the desire for peace and unification of North and South. Just now, Mun Ju had sat on a bomb to get here. That bomb tried to prevent Mun Ju from standing before everyone, but it could not stop her. It was was you who brought Mun Ju here. With the mission of peace, Mun Ju can create a great unity, which everyone here desires. Mun Ju is not afraid of anything. Mun Ju will not stop at a moment and will always look towards hope, towards peaceful roads and happy families. In order to protect all of this forever in peace, from now on she announced that she would run for the 22nd term of the Republic of Korea. Everyone below cheered. After Mun Ju's speech, Mrs. Oh-seon couldn't help but smile with satisfaction at her daughter-in-law. Meanwhile, Chang Hui felt that this was a moment of history. Mun Ju sent a glance at San-ho as if she knew he was there. Mun Ju gave San-ho a sincere thank you. Late that night, Mun Ju quietly went to the church. At the same time, San-ho also slowly appeared. Mun Ju didn't forget to ask about San-ho, but San-ho only replied that it was just a small scratch. Mun Ju really wondered why San-ho was always present at such important moments. After the incident with Jun-ik and the priest, San-ho had guessed that the next person in danger would be Mun Ju. Someone is sending a message that anyone who tries to stop the war will meet the same fate. San-ho believes that Mun Ju's security team cannot help. San-ho has already renewed his contract with Van Kiri, and no one can protect Mun Ju better than him. But Mun Ju still wonders how she can trust San-ho. San-ho advises Mun Ju to investigate the battles he has participated in, or if necessary, she can monitor him. Mun Ju is the one who wants to stop the war, and that is also what San-ho wants. San-ho has a mission that the priest has entrusted to her. Mun Ju tells San-ho that she is the one with the power to decide, and he will have to follow many conditions in her orders. Of course, San-ho understands that, but in an emergency, Mun Ju is forced to listen to him, and San-ho will be the leader of Mun Ju. Without hesitation, Mun Ju immediately agrees to hire San-ho as a bodyguard. Both need each other to achieve their own goals. Thus, the third episode of the movie Tempest 2025 has ended. See you in the next episodes. Goodbye, and see you again.